Let me tell you my story. I grew up in a really small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I went to this school that was quite a big school, but there was coaches and buses that went round to all the little villages and towns around my town, picked people up and brought them into the school. So there wasn't actually enough people in my town to fill a school. It was a really small town. And I pretty much grew up in a recession, and there was very little jobs, very little opportunity, and really just very little optimism, I think. Very little ambition and looking to the future and thinking that the future is going to be much better than the present, and wanting things to be different and wanting for more out of life. There wasn't much of that at all. I felt like I was just kind of drifting through life. I didn't really have a direction. I didn't really have a path. I didn't know what I wanted. I just ended up just living for the moment. And that led me into smoking marijuana, smoking cannabis, doing drugs, drinking, partying, chasing girls, watching porn, all these things that were told to me by other people that they were pretty normal things to do. I didn't really feel like I had any role models. I didn't really have anyone to look up to and think, wow, I really want to be like that person. I feel inspired by this person. I really want to be like them. There was definitely people in my life that had certain aspects about them that were positive attributes, positive aspects that I could look up to in certain ways. But most people that were in my life, were drinking too much or smoking or doing drugs or dealing drugs or out of work, all these things that I didn't want to be like. But at the time, I didn't even really know. I was just drifting through life, just bouncing off the walls of life that this society had built for me and saying, this is what's normal. Live inside this box. We're told that all these things that we're doing, that the science shows us, that our experience shows us is not good for us. We just keep getting told, it's normal to do these things. It's normal to live in the present and pursue the pleasures of the moment. You might have felt upset or resentful about this system that we live in that has failed us, really. We can fall into this worldview that the world is this dangerous and dark place that we don't really want to be a part of, even, maybe. And we just want to check out. We just check out reality, because the reality that we live in is not a nice place to be. It's not somewhere we want to be. So we're always escaping from this reality. And that's where we're escaping from, in these things that we're told is normal to do. We escape on social media by scrolling endlessly and watching Netflix for hours and hours and hours, and doing drugs and drinking and eating delicious, amazing, incredibly tasty food that is terrible for our health and terrible for our mental health. And we do all these things because we can't accept what reality holds for us. At least I think that's what it was for me. And it wasn't until my early 20s, since I started a self-improvement journey and working on my own personal growth, I heard this phrase that was, you should become the person that you wish you had when you were younger, or you should become the person that you needed when you were younger. And this is what I wanted to make this video about, and this is why the future needs you, because things aren't going to change unless you change. This cycle of dysfunction, of doing unhealthy things, this never-ending pursuit of pleasure that leads us into this sick state, isn't going to end unless we decide to end it. We keep believing this idea that it's okay to do these things and it's normal to do these things, but they're leading us into a place where we're finding that we're sick and we're unhealthy and we're unhappy and we're depressed. And this really started a fire in me to think, well, who was it that I wanted to look up to? Who was it that I wanted to be inspired by that I didn't have in my life? That told me there was more to me than that was currently there. It told me that if I worked on myself and if I put my desires and my seeking pleasure in the present moment aside and started delaying gratification and doing things that I knew were good for me that would affect me into the future, then if I did that, then things could get better, and things will get better. And when I did those things did get better. We're told a lie. We're told lies by everyone around us that it's normal to do these things. It's okay to eat that food. It's okay to go on social media. It's okay to play video games. It's okay to watch pornography. It's okay to chase that person, this person, that him or her, and chase them and make our lives about this pursuit of pleasure in the moment. There's more overweight people in the world today than there is starving people. And that is a hell of an achievement. We should be weirdly happy about that, but we need to figure out where we've taken things too far. We have this abundant world where we can have anything we want, pretty much whenever we want. And maybe that's not completely a good thing. And maybe now it's up to us to decide when we should have those things in those moments. It's the pursuit of comfort and pleasure in the present that often leads to discomfort and suffering in the future. And conversely to that, it's also the pursuit of discomfort, of doing hard things in the moment. You could say of the pursuit of suffering in the moment that brings us comfort and pleasure in the future. And this is why the future needs you. This is why you need you in the future. If you're still watching this video now, it's because there's something that I'm saying that is resonating with you, that you need to hear these words, and there's something within you that is telling you, that is calling out something from within you that is more than you currently are. Let me ask you a question. How many things do you think that you're doing right now that are making things worse? There's things that we can do that make things better into the future, and then there's things that we can do that make things worse in the future, or just make the situations that you're living in right now worse. So let me ask you a question. How many things do you think that you're doing that are actually making things worse? And for me, this is usually pretty easy when I ask myself this. It's oh, yeah, that straight away. I know I shouldn't be doing that. It'd be better if I didn't do that, and things could get better. And let's just end my stupidity, stop doing that stupid thing, and things are going to get better. So how much better do you think life could be if we just stopped doing the stupid things that are making things worse? Not even necessarily doing things to make life better, but just stop doing the stupid things that are making it worse. And that can sometimes be hard to do because we've fallen into addictions. We're addicted to social media. We're addicted to partying. We're addicted to weed. We're addicted to social drinking. Even if you're not an alcoholic, if you like to drink and go out socially, try and go out and don't drink. You might find that you can't do it. It doesn't mean you're an alcoholic. It just means that you're addicted to escaping from the reality of your own self when you're in a social situation. It can be hard to stop these things, but if we can just stop making things worse, how much better could life actually get? If we were to stop sabotaging our own progress, our own growth, how much further along could we be? How much happier, how much healthier could we be? How much better could our relationships be? And this is why the future needs you. And the future is not about some far off place in the future like you see in sci-fi movies that we feel completely disconnected from. The future is about every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, month, year, 10 years, generation, 5 generations from now. That's what the future is. And encapsulated in that is your future. And the future needs you. The future needs you to put aside your pursuit of the most pleasurable thing in this moment so the future can get better, because it probably won't get much better if you're just going to do the same thing again and again and again. That's the definition of insanity, right? To do the same thing again and again and expect a different result. I think it was Einstein that said that. I'm not talking about living in the future like you're not present in the moment. I'm not talking about this anxiety-producing way of living in the future. I mean living in the present for the future. Not living for the moment like in this pleasurable, hedonistic, like YOLO way, but living in the present moment in a mindful way. Because when we're mindful, when we meditate, when we breathe properly, that helps our future selves. When we live in the present properly, not in the pursuit of pleasure, but when we really live in the present, our future selves are going to be happier, healthier, more stress-free, more well-rounded, more balanced, more successful people. And isn't that what we want? Imagine yourself 6 months from now or a year from now. What changes would you have liked to made? Maybe you want to be healthier. Maybe you want to be in better shape. Maybe you want to be in a relationship. Maybe you want to earn more money, different job, have your own place, have a new car, whatever it is. Just think about those things. And then ask that future version of yourself what they would want you to do today to help them out. I can probably put a bet on it that it's not one of those like pleasure pursuing things. It's not one of these things that you do when you're not thinking, you're mindlessly like looking for an escape from reality. It's not one of those things, right? It's something that's going to help you in the present right now, and it's going to help the versions of you into the future. And guess what? When you help yourself in the future, that also helps everyone else around you in the future. And then that helps the future in general, because you can become the person that you wish you had right now. You can become the person that you needed when you were younger. And you can make this society that we live in, that is an incredible society that we live in, but it's sick. And we need to take responsibility for making it better. The only way that these things are going to change, that this cycle is not going to keep perpetuating where we get told this is okay to do these things. It's okay to go on social media from the age of like 10 years old or whatever age. Like kids are on social media these days and ruining their mental health and having anxiety disorders and watching online pornography and becoming addicted to that, and then just wanting to escape from reality and check out. So we're just smoking weed and doing drugs and partying and pursuing like the next mate or the next like one night stand and going to a job that we're not really happy with, we don't feel purposeful in for like 40 hours a week, so we can then do what we want outside of that time. Look, if you're still watching this video, it's because there's something that I've said, maybe many of the things that I've said here, that has reached out and touched or grabbed something within you and it's pulling it forward. There's something in you that there's more to you than you are right now. And I encourage you to tap into that. Tap into that feeling that there's something there, there's something that wants to express itself greater and fuller. That's what life is about. Life is about growth. A tree doesn't just grow until a certain size and then stop growing. A tree just grows and grows and grows and grows to become the biggest and greatest creature that it can, to be the biggest and greatest being that it can. And that's what life is about. Life wants to grow and expand and express itself. So your future, the future, needs you to put aside those pleasure pursuing activities in the moment right now. Stop doing the things, the stupid things that you know aren't making things better. They're making things worse. Maybe just pick one or two. This is an action step for you right now. Pick one or two things that you're doing right now that you know are making things worse. And then you go to work at stopping those things. And if it includes other people, then you go to those people and say, look, I've realized that I've been stupid and I made this mistake. I'm sorry, and I'm going to work on it. But I'm not going to be perfect. It might come up again, but I'm working on it. And in the meantime, I'm also going to do these positive things. And this is the other side of it. I want you to think of one or two positive things that you know you could do right now that's going to help you in the moment and into the future. Because you're in a relationship with your future self all the time. And you want to do things that are going to help you now and help you in the future. There's no point in just doing things now that help you now but don't help you in the future. Like this escape. Like, yeah, smoking weed, you're doing it for a reason. Drinking alcohol, you're doing it for a reason. You might be doing it to escape, and it's helping you in the present. It's helping you deal with whatever you're dealing with. But it's not helping you in the future. So we want to do things that are helping us now and into the future. And the future needs you. It needs you to take up the responsibility for your own future, for our future. To start putting aside those things that aren't good. Start doing those things that are good. And that means often doing the hard thing, taking those hard choices and looking and pursuing the discomfort in the moment, so in the future we can be more comfortable, we can be more happy, we can be more healthy. And this is the only way that things are going to change. It's the only way this cycle is going to stop. If we start putting ourselves together and start, in a sense, putting our future selves before our present selves in this pursuit of pleasure,